Well, Chan, I mean, this is your area of expertise. Obviously, the whole Jonathan Martin Bullygate was a huge thing in Miami recently. He came out and said that he wasn't bullied and kind of had a whole story about that. Now Richie Incognito is posting picture after picture saying, okay, is this bullying? Yeah. What are your thoughts on Jonathan waiting a decade to finally come out and speak and say that what was portrayed wasn't necessarily how it went?
I said it at the time because I went on a bunch of publications, a bunch of broadcasts, and they were asking me about it because I played with Richie. I was with Richie. Just a quick background on Richie. When he first got to the Dolphins, he already had his persona. He gonna go out there and do the extra pushing, extra shoving. So I think Carlos Dansby, myself, a couple of defensive players, Starks, I believe, was still there, went up to him like, bro, if you wanna do that, like, let's live in that. But we not just letting you push us in the back after every play. And he was like, no, guys, we're good. And he didn't do it. But that was his thing. He wanted to be a bully. He wanted to be the alpha male and all. But to the point about Jonathan Martin, I'm upset that he took so long to come out and tell the truth. You cannot be bullied as a grown-ass man in the locker room. You're a grown man. You can get bullied down from like the superiors or whatever. You've seen it, with businesses. But as a teammate to teammate, bro, we just got to lock up. And I know it sounds barbaric. I know it sounds whatever. You're not going to sit and treat me like a child or do something to me I don't want you to do. And we're the same person. We're both offensive guards on this team. We both O-linemen. Richie personality and Jonathan Martin's personality didn't vibe. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Martin was a private school kid. Where did he go to Stanford or Yale or something like that?
Went to
Stanford. And Richie was a dog. Richie was a down, dirty, nasty type player, and they didn't vibe. But the word bullying, I think the way it was painted, Bullygate, and I think that's why it blew up because everybody thinks of bullying and it's bad. You think of the kids, you think of that. I can't look at a grown-ass 350-pound man and say he was bullied. I never will, and I'm glad Jonathan Martin, if it took him a decade to do it, it took him a decade to do it. But you can't be bullied in a locker room. That's a locker room. It's a hierarchy, and Richie was trying to prove his thing, and Jonathan Martin should have came back up to the plate, and if they had to lock up, they had to lock up. But that's what it is, man. I was about to say, because Richie is an asshole. Like, everybody knows that. If you've ever been around Richie, you're an asshole. But he's not a bully. That's how he was brought up. That's how he was raised. So I'm glad it came to the forefront. I'm glad Jonathan Martin's now admitting it. Maybe he had to sit back and look at it from a more alpha perspective because I don't care how big you are. I play with some big dudes. You ain't just telling me what to do and little boying me all day. Even if I gotta sneak up on you, dive on your back, choke you out in the shower, like whatever it is, you're not just gonna beat me up as a grown man. I'm a grown-ass millionaire, and I'm gonna sit there and let you push me around. Man, get the hell out of here.
Richie was the scapegoat. Obviously, you couldn't have ruined his reputation because it preceded him, right? He was known as the guy that's gonna do a little extra. But still, bully, I think it's not necessarily the right term to associate with Richie. I believe that Martin was looking for a way out. Mm-hmm. He's just looking for a way to, try to get away from his lack of, good performance. He wasn't playing well. So to accuse Richie and all of his other teammates, I think reading the article, his mother came out and said it was the workplace environment was awful for him to be able to reach his potential and all that other stuff. So this was the excuse, and it really shed a light on the epidemic. Omar Kelly did a great job in his article, but the epidemic in this country, bullying is real, right? Mm-hmm. But in a locker room, it's hard to really try and place it in a locker room because of the machismo and the masculinity in the locker room. But let's be real. Some guys can't take jokes or take being pushed around as well as other guys. It happens in the locker room. Mm-hmm. We'll never call it bullying because you're supposed to have this sort of fabric about yourself where you're not soft. You're tough, you're strong, you're hard. Like I can deal with my teammates. This whole scandal now, the way it painted the pictures on the Dolphins, for years to come, the way it painted the picture on Richie, what he can't get back, that time, probably going to different places. If there were such things as brand deals for linemen, all of that was taken away from him. You know, so Martin, I hope he's at peace, and I hope Richie's at peace with everything. But at the end of the day, man, it's so much that was lost from this. It's when those false allegations for me, you know, I don't want to say it's like when a woman falsely accuses a man of like raping them or something like that, but it's right there because the accused actually is the real victim. And this is the case, and I believe this is the case in all of this. Richie actually became the victim, for me at least. But from mental health stuff, depression, and everything these guys have had to deal with these past 10 years or so, I hope they have found peace, and I hope that we aren't, as a society, so quick to jump to conclusions when we see stuff like this happen. Let people have their day in court when it happens. In real life, as far as the locker room, it was an extensive investigative report, and it really shined a negative light on the NFL. But I'm sure that negative light also, you know, opened up other opportunities for the NFL to become a better, you know, workplace. So, fucking crazy though.
But let me just quickly, speaking about the NFL though, Fred, it's different. And I don't care if people want to admit it or not. Like you bring up the world, you bring up what's going on like in the show business and all that stuff. It is different. There's powerful people taking advantage of people trying to climb the mountain. Fred, do you want to play with a dude that can get bullied? This is that you say machismo and manhood and all. I do not want to be in the locker room with a dude that'll let another man, because now we out there in the fourth quarter. You bloody, I'm tired, you tired. And now he says something to you that hurt your feelings. Bro, we gotta go win. The locker room is a different environment than the normal world, and that's what, there is bullying's real. And I feel bad for the kids, Freddie. But not as a grown-ass man. That man is gigantic. Letting another big-ass man tell him what to do and hurt his feelings, man, tighten up.
I don't believe bullying knows age. Look at what the poster boy for bullying can easily be our president. The president of the United States can easily be the poster boy for bullying. It's a fucking epidemic around the world. In this country for sure, but around the world also.
In the locker room,
I don't think it knows age.
But I don't think in the locker room, I don't believe you can be bullied. That's what the locker room is. We always say, Rex Ryan brought it up. We've had a number of people that have been like, I wish the world was like the locker room, because you can have honest conversations and you could be open with everybody. I don't think you can bully somebody in the NFL. College, maybe. NFL locker room, you can't get bullied.
The Ted Wells report was so in-depth and slanted towards one way, which was kind of just telling Jonathan Martin's story, that it made the entire locker room atmosphere seem like we were just a bunch of Neanderthals. And in some ways, that is part of it, but that's not the whole of it. And I don't think Richie Incognito is a victim. I think everybody, though, had to suffer some wrong because of Jonathan Martin's mental health struggles, Jonathan Martin's immaturity, right? Jonathan Martin allowing his mother to use the word bullying and not having enough of whatever it was to stand up and say, no, I don't believe that's what it is. Now, what upsets me about Jonathan Martin is he's now trying to regain his life because people will forever look at him like the 330-pound man that got bullied, right? And he doesn't want that anymore. He feels like he's strong enough now, but you let Richie Incognito not only be thought of as a bully, and I never looked at it that way, right? The first thing I thought was, at some point, listen, ass whippings happen, but you can't be scared to take a loss. If it's that bad and you feel that way, then you got to stand up and show you can't treat me like this forever. That was my thought, right? I have since tried to evolve from a mental health and emotional perspective to say some people just can't do that. And within the locker room, whether it's coaches or players, I got to know how to deal with Channing if I'm a leader. I got to know how to deal with Fred if I'm a leader. Obviously, Richie Incognito wasn't evolved enough for that. His father, though, Gus Martin, in the story that they wrote, he played a voicemail. And so they transcribe it. And when it's transcribed, it says, "Hey, what's up, you half nigger piece of shit. I saw you on Twitter. You've been training 10 weeks. I'll shit in your fucking mouth. I'm going to slap your fucking mouth. I'm going to slap your real mother across the face. He laughed. Fuck you. You're still a rookie. I'll kill you. Now, when you read it, it doesn't give you tone,
Yes.
right? It doesn't give you intent, right? And so for me, I know no white man ever walking the face of the earth can think it's cool to joke with me like that, use the word like that, use the word at all without us having an issue. For Jonathan Martin, that wasn't a problem. And so now though, when you say these things, and when I read the Ted Wells report, I'm like, not only is he a bully, he's an effing racist. And that's hard to kick. And that man lost a year for that. Now, I don't believe that this behavior should take place. I don't believe you should treat your friends that he said I was a mentor. You shouldn't treat your friends like that. You shouldn't treat your mentees like that. You shouldn't treat your youngins like that. But we all know there is a rite of passage in the way that you are treated in this league because somebody treated us like that, right? And then we learn from our OGs how we're going to treat the next person. And so the only thing for me is, yes, Richie Incognito, you was an asshole. And Richie Incognito, you treated this man in some way unfairly based on what he had the capabilities of handling. And then Jonathan Martin on the other side of it, you should have handled it in a better way. You should have handled it in a different way. But I'm also old enough to understand that not everybody is emotionally equipped for it. And so now you have this whole thing that Jonathan Martin now wants to go take his life back, and I believe we should allow him to take his life back, but who gives Richie Incognito his life back? I don't like him. I ain't gotta like him. But this is still just a situation of showing you have to be and work to be emotionally mature enough, mentally mature enough, in whatever capacity you are living life and trying to find a career to not implode, which explodes the people around you. And I think it's a learning lesson.
I'm not fighting for Richie not to be a racist. That text seemed like it is. And there was another video that came out of him in a pool hall saying nigga. But I tell you this, Richie never said nigga in that locker room with all of us. Why? Because he knew there was going to be consequences and repercussions. Racist and nasty people do it around people they know aren't going to do anything to them.
So the bottom line
that's
is,
what he was
here's
doing.
What he's doing though. He knew that he could treat that man like that, so he took advantage of him.
Yes.
Right? He was like, you're never going to push back. You're never going to fight back. I can treat you like crap every single day. And eventually he just broke him.
It's funny too, and not attacking the Dolphins or the management, but they brought in Richie after we was terrible as hell, 1-15-07. They revamped the offense. They brought in Jake Grove, who was a big, nasty white boy. They drafted Jake Long, who was a big, not nasty, but just big, almost like how the Lions now and the Eagles have built their line. They tried to build that big, nasty, run-first offense. That was the Wildcat year. The following year, that's what they wanted. So you bring in nasty, tough people, and now they have a little edge to them, and they got some asshole in them.
Right.
I'll tell Rich if he's sitting across from me right now, you are a flat-out asshole. Is he a bully? I don't think so. I think that's his personality, and that's what made him good at football the way he is.
Right, just to wrap it up, man, we got to also look at the definition of bullying because it can happen in the locker room. It's physical, verbal, and psychological.
You're a grown-up, Fred.
Physical, verbal, and psychological. Psychologically, you can get fucked in a league where, when RC said, your OG is supposed to look out for you. And if you haven't tapped into that, then you could be lost in the locker room. And when it's done in excess, then you can be completely lost. That's my thought.